3.5 million unsealed documents. While the world expected to find the names of politicians and billionaires buried in Jeffrey Epstein's files, the true scope of his reach goes much further. These records implicate an incredibly wide array of athletes, world-class intellectuals, and legendary entertainers. But the current media frenzy often ignores the nuance of these connections, throwing names around recklessly and causing a cloud of confusion. This diagram illustrates the proximity scale, a way to categorize the actual distance of each celebrity from the crimes. It maps their involvement from the outer ring of name drops and mix-ups to the inner ring of deep entanglements. Organizing this chaos exposes Epstein's broader strategy. He was building a fortress of fame, surrounding his criminal enterprise with high-profile names to hide in plain sight. The outer ring is populated by high-profile names Epstein dropped simply to impress or manipulate his victims. A-listers like Leonardo DiCaprio and Bruce Willis appear here strictly because Epstein claimed to know them. There is no evidence of actual involvement. Tony Hawk's inclusion in the files is perhaps the most bizarre example of a name being mentioned without a criminal connection. A victim's report placed Hawk's wedding on Epstein's island, but the record shows the ceremony was actually held in Fiji. The victim likely confused the two locations after enduring years of trauma, especially since the wedding photographer was a man who happened to share Epstein's last name. These cases show that presence in the documents is not a confirmation of guilt. Without specific evidence, proximity in the files can be deeply misleading. The middle ring contains the intellectuals and artists who provided Epstein with a veneer of high society respectability by appearing alongside him. Woody Allen maintained a friendship with Epstein for years, describing his frequent visits to Epstein's home as fascinating research into what he called a nefarious character. Noam Chomsky initially dismissed inquiries into their relationship as none of your business, despite evidence they met frequently and traveled on Epstein's private jet. Stephen Hawking attended an island science conference hosted by Epstein. Unsealed emails show Epstein later offered a cash reward for anyone who could disprove claims of illicit activities during his stay. By ignoring obvious red flags, these individuals granted Epstein the elite status he required to operate his network with impunity. The inner ring is where the paper trail directly contradicts the public narrative. These celebrities have deep entanglements that are far more difficult for anyone to easily explain away as a mere social coincidence. Brett Ratner claimed he had no personal relationship with Epstein and that they only shared a single photo. However, Epstein's private calendar and internal emails show direct contact and shared business associates throughout the 2010s. Steve Tisch, owner of the New York Giants, exchanged emails with Epstein about meeting a Ukrainian girl. Epstein's response was pointed. He requested a phone call because he did not want a record of their conversation. NASCAR's Brian Vickers married Sarah Kellen, a co-conspirator in Epstein's 2008 trafficking case. Vickers' personal correspondence with Epstein spanned nearly 2 decades. Vickers sent Epstein graphic emails and even a Valentine's Day video as recently as 2019, well after Epstein's history of crimes was a matter of public record. David Copperfield maintained he was not a friend of Epstein, but the unsealed FBI documents reveal a relationship that was far from casual. A 2007 FBI memo investigated whether Copperfield and Epstein shared a predilection for minors and referred victims to each other. The memo details how his employees scouted young females in the audience, bringing them backstage for encounters he recorded in a notebook. For those in the inner ring, the connection moved past passive association. Their deep involvement helped sustain the hidden network that Epstein built. Looking at the scale as a whole, it's clear that Epstein hoarded celebrities with the same cold calculation he used to acquire offshore accounts and private islands. Famous faces were his ultimate currency. They served as human shields, dazzling the public and deflecting the scrutiny of law enforcement, while his operation continued in the shadows. Whether an association was criminal or merely social, every celebrity who lent their name to Epstein's circle helped normalize a predator and keep the machinery of his operation running. These unsealed files show that even the most carefully polished public image cannot outlast a documented paper trail. When the spotlight eventually fades, the facts are all that remain.